Hello everyone, Eon here. Let's look back at February 2025 Sci-Fi 3D Printing Overview number 2. We're going to introduce a few new ones because I always like to add a few more in when I can every month when we do these. And we're going to also look at some that we've already looked at, like Across the Realms. In Across the Realms, we now have some renders of the models Champion of Excess that's being released for the month of February. Notice these come in both male archetypes as well as female archetypes. And these are modular, so maybe you can put these together in a few different ways. Admiral Apocalypse has some trench skulls to be added up. That seems to be a pretty common theme these days, as well as these trench gas rats. I believe these come with or without the smoke. There's also some trench decor that you can put around, as well as some obstacles to make your trenches even more, I guess, trenchy. There are some bases, and these do have spaces for magnets on them as well. And apparently that's a tribe add-on. I'm not exactly sure how that works for here. Next up we have Aether Studios. Now Aether has done a few more releases. We have the Kiloton Explosion, as well as some more trenches. It's a common theme. That's, the second Patreon out of 3 that we've looked at, isn't it? We have these dud shell trenches, barricade walls and new ruins, and the thatched trenches, and the Kimmer terrain. We've looked at most of this already. Some of this could be done as well. This Paladin does have a name now. I did not update the graphic on these slides here, apologies. As well as the Tea House, which is kind of a modern vibe, but kind of not. And like I said, we've seen most of this. I'm kind of getting past this here. This is the new stuff. We have these war cliffs, as well as some war tiles. And they say 4x4, but isn't it really just a 2x2? Maybe it's 2 per 2. I don't know. Atlan Forge has the Battle Speeder, which we've kind of saw a preview of already, but now we have a little bit better loadouts of what these look like. I'm pretty sure this reminds me of 3rd edition 40K when it was released, and the Land Speeder or the Air Speeder was a new model. This reminds me a lot of that model, so it's a lot of happy memories just by looking at this model here. Notice it comes with many different weapon loadouts for however you want to array it. They also have the Vampire Bikers. Again, these are modular, so you can put them together however you want. Here's a few examples. And we only have a preview right now, but coming this weekend is the Minoan Aegis Jump Pack Squad. Battlecat Miniatures will be starting a Kickstarter pretty soon, the Great Northern War. It's a Swedish army, and that'll be on March 4th. So just giving them a shout out if you want to put that on your radar. Beyond Space has continued to put out releases. Release number 3 is the Arashi Lancer. And release number 4 is the Knight General Voltaris. Bite the Bullet Studios has put out a loyalty reward, which has kind of a spacey theme to it. This is the Swarm Space Monster. If you've been a part of their tribe or Patreon for the months of December, January, and February. Creature Caster is kind of a modern sort of theme. It's that gray area I can never quite figure out if I should put it in fantasy or sci-fi, and so I'll put it in both. This is the Biomancer of Malefica. Custom Miniature Maker has a old style cannon put out. So, gunpowder, we start to kind of get into a sci-fi modern vibe. These come with different shots as well. They also put out blood ritual bases, which could be done for something in the far future, per their description. And they did put out the grass marsh, which of course could be used for any time period. Little tufts of grass with room for water to run between. Dakka Dakka has put out their overview for the month of February, and we get quite a bit of representation here for different factions. Here we see the Mind Absorber, the Scourge, the Osidax, and the Fang Throwers, which is a build kit. We also have the Locust Guards of the Great Harvest, also a build kit. We also have Springers of the Great Harvest. It's also a build kit. So if you're looking for some Tyranids or the similar type, this would be a great month to back Dakka Dakka. We have the Ignisarius clan, Team Ignitum, at the bottom, aka their flamethrowers. And up top we have Murder Incorporated, which I believe is kind of like a Necromunda style gang, but I may be wrong there. We have the Circumsolar Infantry Squad of Midnight Sun Covenant, which is a build kit. We have the Regius Guard Stomper mech. And then Phoebe the Unholy Well as a 2-month loyalty reward. In addition, Dakka Dakka will be putting out this, I'm not even going to try to pronounce, Inquisition on Kickstarter pretty soon. I would assume that this is very heavily influenced by the current craze of Trench Crusade. But regardless, some very nice sci-fi, heavily armored, heavily gas-masked models. Also, if you leave your email address, they'll send you this model for free. So sign up for their newsletter. New to my video is Dungeons and Dreadnoughts. Two themes you would never think to go together. And they have a very interesting vibe. This is a new one to me, and I look forward to seeing more of what they do in the future. This is Arterabilis, and that's a feral Zavok vampire. Here we have Oka, the Speed Demon, and a couple more models of Arterabilis. Here we have Kruger, the Nightmare Demon. I wonder what street they picked that name up from. And here we have a Maned Wyvern. And here we have a Trapper, Stage 2, and Purleaf, a Stage 1. So very Pokemon inspired. For the Dreadnought part of Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, we have I think that's a letter D they had in their graphic. I may be misdoing that, but it's DE9 Maw and a DE8 Valentine mech. EightLegs Miniatures has put out the Storm Phoenix of Imperatus Vindex. Comes with a few different weapon options. Ghamak has put out their Freedom Guard main battle tank. And on a lark, I tried doing the treads and the main hull as an FDM print. I think I put way too many supports. I kind of want to reprint it and retry it to see how well it's doing. But the little details, I don't think I can quite print with an FDM printer. Probably. I don't know if I have the patience for it, but very nice looking model. Generic main battle tank. And here is everything you can see for the month of February. We have the Heretic Knights, which are the Warlock and Exterminator Warlock. They're at the very bottom of the graphic. To the left, we have the Freedom Guard tap battle tanks, as well as some Wounded, and the Heavy Grenadiers. We'll look at those in a little bit more detail in a minute. I'm really looking forward to the Cosmic Devourers. We've already looked at the Swarm Brain, but there's also the Prismatic Hulk and the Breeder Queen. Haven't seen better renders of those yet. So here are the Grenadiers over on the left and the Wounded over on the right. I've been trying to figure out how to incorporate Heroes Infinite by Raging Heroes for a while, and now's the time, I think. Here's Imperial Commando Lost in the Jungle. Now they do one big graphic, which I cannot just copy and paste. So we're going to look at their models that they've released here. And you don't need me to read every one of these to you, do you? They do have a couple of different tiers. And you have characters like Brock Ironmaul there that I'm pretty sure are inspired by the Ogren from the Imperial Guard. This just screams Imperial Guard to me. From the 40k universe. But Bombast Siegebreaker, Lucian Octavius on a Cyber Steed. We have assassin style characters, or snipers even. We get a tank. And if you level up to the Overlord tier, you get a little bit more. I really like that heavy gun on the right. There's the Blaze Patrol. Sure, their tempers are very cool. They'd have to be. Here we have the Iron Hogs Brigade. Again, these, I'm pretty sure these are supposed to be like Ogren or Ogres. The Bastion Wardens Brigade come with helmets or without, depending on how you want them to appear. Here we see Brock on a Thunderbike instead, or just the Thunderbike alone. A lot of really cool stuff every month from Heroes Infinite, or Raging Heroes. They have some modular scenery that you could put together too, and they put several images of dioramas. We're just going to stay here with what I would consider the Audrey 2, if you've ever watched Little Shop of Horrors. Kyoushuneko Miniatures has put out their second release for the month of February with Finnish Army. The Winter Infantry. This is their scout team. Loot Studios puts out their Sci-Fi release on the 15th of the month, and so now we get to look at Atomic Revolution. This is everything you get for Atomic Revolution. Here we have the enemies. Some very nice robots in this. We have 3 heroes, Commander Libertas, Soma Yuriko the Spy, and Roboticist Aaron Carter. We have 4 NPCs. I'm not even sure what Borma 66 is. Is that like a Roomba with swords written on the top of it? And for the environment, we have some facades, so you can kind of put together your little town as needed, as well as the nuclear launcher, well, that's a nuclear reactor, they mislabeled that one, but the atom chest, and you have both a truck and a car. Let's look at those in more detail. Those are just really cool. Loot 5. Here we have the chest, and they have 4 busts. And for the prop, we have the Arm Pad Z, which it's hard to tell from this image, kind of, sort of, but you can put your cell phone in there. And I wonder if they have any particular graphics to add to that. Still pretty cool. The Maker's Cult has put out a little bit of a preview for what's coming. This is a bunch of Trench Crusade style arms and weapons only. This is not the bodies, these are not the miniatures. So we'll take a look really quickly here of what this may look like. Again, this is the arms and weapons, not the model itself. So they're just showing you how you could use these additions. So here's some examples of the MP40, the trench gun, Luger and trench mauls, Lee Enfield, Car 98K, and the M1918 BAR. So again, it's not the model, it's the arms and weapons is what we're looking at here as a preview. Miniature Land, I'm going to throw in here, but with a caveat. The release here says February release, and I put it in here because of the Trench Battle Zone. So if you have any interest in Trench Crusade and need some trench warfare, they have this available. But it's part of the January release, but the graphic says February, and I'm not sure which is which. So this may be available in February, it may not, but please don't quote me on it. I'm just going by what the graphic says here. Monstrous Encounters was sick at the end of December and is catching up on the work. So here we have the Scavengers. I believe these are inspired by the Cawdor. So glad to see he's feeling better. Mr. Modulork continues releasing. We have release number 3 of 5 Hammerlads. It's kind of interesting to see what passes for a hammer. I bet that one goes off with a big boom. And here we have release number 4 of 6. Looks like Mr. Modulork may have added an extra release in here. This is the Cannon Wagon. Comes in a couple of variety. Oshouna Minis has kind of hidden a lot of their pages. Really hard to tell what they've got going on. But if you look at their Instagram, we can see the February release posted there. I like to quote these things because if you want to go look for it yourself, I want you to be able to know where to go to see what I see. Papsikels has put out a few model renditions. Again, these are inspired by Trench Crusade. We have the Baphomet Sorcerer and the Malignant Grail Thralls. We have Unholy Infested Hounds and a Xeno Ducky, which may be like a loyalty reward, but again, I'm not 100% sure on that. Print Minis has put out a few more renders of some things coming. Here we have some gang-specific terrain, the Purifier Traps. So that we have Incense Dispersers. We have a Gang Totem. And the Divine Flame. We have Explosive Surprises and Center Cages. And again, I think these are all for their faction, the Purifiers, because then we have the Nightshade Traps. We have the Eviscerator, Canisters and Smokers, a Gang Totem for the Nightshades, and then a Knife Cage. That looks horrendous. And then we have the Promoter, Vidjak Ren, as well as the Insider, Yelga Howl. We have the Coin Collectors, the Wealth Guild. As well as some Industrial Workers. That's right, lift with your knees, not your back. OSHA approved. They also, by subscriber request, added some diagonals for the platforms. Really nice looking models here. Red Pilgrim Miniatures has put out Crash Landing, which is centered around pilots. Skullforge Studio has put out this preview of Firmament, and apparently this is a game that they have put out. They said that they were testing it out at Adepticon last year, which is actually coming up pretty soon this year, and it'll be in Milwaukee this year. I highly doubt that I am there unless I win the lottery between now and then, but I always would like to go to Adepticon. I'm very jealous of all the swag bags people had years ago. But this is a multi-part kit and very unique. Not used to seeing models like this, but we'll be probably seeing more of this from Skullforge soon. Soldiers of Humankind have put out these previews. The Astra Auxilia. Stationforge has put out a couple new releases. Here we have the Vaskar Patrol. And of course comes Modular. And then something that I didn't expect to see coming was the Vodolite's Flying Throne. Does anyone ever expect this? I don't know. Tablehammer has put out a few previews as well. For their Throwback Thursday, they did the Heavy Destructors. And then what's got to be one of the most unique tanks I have ever seen, the Pegasus Chariot Pattern Tank. It is, dare I say, a work of art. Trident Studio has put out the renders of these models. We saw this preview from before. Let's look at the minis. Here we have Cable, Man-Thing, Penny Parker, the Collector, the Watcher, Werewolf, Wiccan, Wolverine Phoenix Force. Trident never disappoints. Vermillion Miniatures has put out more renders of their lifeguards. Here we can see 8 models, 2 firefighters, 2 doctors, 2 medic, and 2 policemen. VS3D is new to my videos. I think we put them in the previous video, so this is the second appearance, but they do a lot of figurines, and this is where I'm wondering if I need to add another video to my lineup to fit these types of things. Here we have Bane from Batman the Animated Series. It's not exactly sci-fi. And here we have Austin Powers. And I'm assuming this is a render, but the coloring, the painting that would be involved to do this would have to be intense. They said be prepared. Something evil could be lurking around any corner. Wargames Atlantic has this to show for Death Fields. So these are Zulu sets, as well as So it appears that they took some Zulu warriors and put them in the future on gliders with guns and weapons of sorts for death fields, as well as some braves that are on foot as well. Wargame Exclusive has put out a little bit more. We have Orc Mad Riders, the Youths. And then for their $1 set, you get these 4 miniatures. 4 minis for $1 is not a bad deal. And these are some nice looking minis. I'm not sure what to call these. But very nice looking miniatures regardless. Well, that does overview number 2. If we can, we'll look at things again before the month lets out, but we'll probably be looking at March previews pretty soon. February is coming fast to an end. I hope you all stay safe and warm wherever you are. It might still be snowing a little bit where I am. Take care.